You believe you are aware of the truth regarding Chrissy Jones and Jim Jones reconsider because you believe you knew everything is going to be completely appended. If I were to reveal the worst betrayal to you, no, it wasn't from Jim's adversaries, from the lady he most trusted. It's not just a little secret, Chrissy. This type of bombshell has the potential to destroy everything in their world. Camron's, a family member, just dropped a bombshell following shocking revelation of a twisted truth. The story of Chrissy's life is so unbelievable. Is about to be revealed in a way that nobody can. Jim was left standing after he realized what was coming. What do you do when you're blindsided and betrayed? When the person you cared about is concealing the most sinister secrets you could, never think that this is more than rumors. This is going to be an in-depth expose of whatever you were unaware of and unable to possess, envisioned. Pay attention, because if you believe me, you've heard the worst. Not even. It's worse than you, so keep the truth close. Imagine if I told you all of your believe you were aware of Chrissy Layman's. What if the ideal partnership was a lie? Shown on television for more than 10 years was nothing but a web of lies. What? If Jim Jones, the person who has put her trust in him, is currently the victim of a betrayal so profound that it might come apart, all of his creations endure, because this is more than simply rumors. It's a truth bomb poised to detonate on the Harlem streets and beyond, and it will force you to gaze at Jim Jones and Chrissy Lookin in a completely different way. Let's dissect Camron, the guy who contributed to Jim's career development, who's been supporting him during the highs and lows, had just revealed something shocking that nobody anticipated. And Jim isn't the only one whose Chrissy Layman is at the center of this, at the heart of a scandal so big it could ruin Jim's career in its entirety and reveal the unpleasant reality that no one was aware of existed. You've witnessed the glitzy images of the public events, and the Colbert scored a few goals, but he was behind. The scenes are a distinct narrative. Absolutely, Camron's family has recently revealed the startling reality that Jim was unaware that we were conversing concerning mysteries so profound and sinister that they might bring the whole deck of cards crumbling down. Consider it, Chrissy, the woman who has spent years with Jim, has been leading two separate lives, and now that the truth has been revealed, Jim must take up the fragments. It feels like a chilly slap in Jim's face, and to everyone else who listened to their tale. This is real, not a reality TV drama. The pinnacle of life betrayal. And how did we arrive at Camron? A man who's always been reluctant to express his opinions has simply drew aside the curtain to reveal the whole story of Chrissy's secret life. For Chrissy has spent years living under a disguise that she's been wearing Jim's rock, but the truth is very different. That the family of Camron has disclosed that Chrissy has been a part of dubious transactions, private matters, and even business decisions that weaken Jim's have faith. As they say, you can only conceal long-held truth, and now it's appearing in the most striking manner. Perhaps Chrissy's existence is more than a reality, reveals that there is a network of lies, therefore entangled to the point of being unavoidable. And Jim is the last man standing. Debris, he's been caught off guard by the treachery of a person he believed he could, above everything, trust. Yet let's have a conversation regarding the depth of the secrets involved. Chrissy's concealment isn't limited to, no, we're not discussing infidelity or cheating. Regarding a lot more corporate corruption, dubious transactions, and behind the scenes alterations that were meticulously concealed from Jim. Camron was the man for years. He had just revealed the truth to everyone. And now everyone is observing as Jim's life is falling apart right now. Let us discuss the first of many. One that uses money and power is a secret, and treachery for years that Jim relied on. In addition to this heart, Chrissy, they've had collaborative ventures with his business. Ventures collaborated on several initiatives and even established an empire. Yet, in the background, Chrissy has been operating her own clandestine business, employing her ability to control the circumstances in her favor based on close sources. In relation to what Chrissy has been engaged in several dubious financial moves, transactions that Jim was unaware of. These transact implicitly, and we must not overlook Chrissy's personal side of this mess. Affairs in her private life that no one was aware of have been occurring for years, and we're discussing relationships that are concealed, covert travel, and relationships Jim couldn't even fathom, those who might ruin him if they ever had the chance. Camron was aware of the crazy portion. Every member of Cameron's family had access to the circumstance for some time, but didn't speak anything out of devotion to Jim. But now that the facts are known, they're not extended stay. The man who paved Jim's career was silent, has had enough, and now everyone is aware of it. The reality of Chrissy's dubious activities and treachery, but it goes beyond funds, and this is about loyalty, not affairs. Have faith in two things Jim believed he had with Chrissy, but he's been abandoned lately. To pick up the shards of a career by yourself, that is about to collapse by itself. To acknowledge the fact that everything he believed he was aware of Chrissy's construction on falsehoods. So why is Camron acting in this manner? Is he finally exposing Chrissy? Are these years due to the personal background involving him and Jim, or considering that Camron has finally seen having enough of Chrissy's gains, engaging in activities that have caused Jim greater harm, more than anyone could have imagined? This is what Camron is. He's tired of the falsehoods and don't allow Chrissy to continue getting away with it. He has been forced to socialize on the streets, media, and he's now disclosing all the information about Chrissy's secrets are public, and there is no turning back in Jim. However, he's left in the dark while Chrissy has been engaging in risky behavior. However, how severe was this betrayal? Simply work-related, or is there more to the what is Chrissy concealing in this story? Sticky secrets Jim was unaware of around, as we're only beginning to begin. The truth is on the verge of destroying. The truth hurts in every way, doesn't it? Always does when you consider everything you are aware of, all you believe to be secure disintegrates in before of your eyes. And that's precisely what's taking place. Now to Jim, Chrissy's profound betrayal of Jones. Lambkin, whom he believed and trusted. His rock was revealing itself in the most public humiliation method, however. That's only the start of the actual botch up. The consequences of these disclosures is more than anyone could ever have. Jim Jones, the hip-hop tycoon, is on the verge of losing everything in his profession. Reputation, the same empire he has invested in years of development, and it's all due to Chrissy, one person. But here's the catch. Chrissy isn't only interested in herself. The family of Camron has been discreetly demonstrating the extent of this betrayal. More than just monetary losses and concealed affairs, there is an entire network, secret plan in which Chrissy participated of, and the world is only now beginning to link the let's dissect it. Chrissy wasn't only dragging Jim's back with cords, she was portraying Camron on both sides, who has never entirely been Jim's closest ally. Cameron's trusted Chrissy for years. Suspicions persisted, although Jim was unaware of, and let's be honest, everyone was engrossed in the fantasy of the belief that Chrissy and he were the ultimate power pair. But as of right now, everything is disintegrating piece by piece. Here's where it becomes. The lies told by messy Chrissy were more than just personal financial schemes that she was engaged in are becoming apparent, and their size surpasses that of anyone. Supposedly, Cameron's family has supplied shocking information regarding a dubious enterprise, transactions that harmed Jim in addition to violated his confidence to the extent that's almost difficult to understand. Chrissy was serving as the guardian, excluding Jim from the information when it came to financial choices that ought to have been discussed, and Jim is currently dealing with the repercussions of her concealing tricks for people who are unaware. Chrissy was the creative force for several dubious investments. Jim didn't have concepts were being developed under his name, whether businesses were the ones that stole funds or dubious real estate transactions. Jim was. When the bills arrived, I was left with the bag. According to reliable people close to the matter, that Jim had complete faith in Chrissy, and she exploited it. But what's Chrissy is reported to be even worse. This devoted companion to Jim, correct? She has been taking sides and making handle some of Jim's business behind his back. Fiercest adversaries consider. The reaction is only getting started. Goes viral among fans and other celebrities are being measured, and the responses are. There are calls coming from all over. Chrissy is a genius, while others are just describing her as a villain, although the majority of the startling aspect about Jim's own circle is beginning to turn away from him, uncertain about his allegiances after this shocking revelation. This is where it all begins. Jim has been struck with more than simply a personal betrayal, yet he's currently coping with the general public repercussions. As the news began, everyone began talking about the leak, and you understand how this operates once the truth is revealed. There is no going back now. Jim must confront his own public collapse while attempting to determine if Chrissy was in the background, yanking every thread. Camron, who's been among Jim's best buddies, claims he holds himself personally accountable for not perceiving this as occurring sooner. As per Camron, an insider has been cautioning Jim for years that there was a problem with Jim was too oblivious to Chrissy's feelings he never thought the woman would have. He had spent so much time engaged in this kind of enterprise, but now Camron can no longer contain himself. Having a friend is one thing, enmeshed in a negative circumstance, but when that circumstance puts all you've worked for at risk, you must now speak up because you have no other option. Legal issues are imminent, and Jim is confronting the very real potential for facing legal action or maybe the government examinations of the dubious transactions. If proven, Chrissy was involved in that she used his name to exploit him and resources to commit fraud. Jim could have investments responsible for a portion of those obligations, and given the current state of affairs, Jim is confronting the very real potential for a financial catastrophe. But the general fallout is as vicious as the fans who used to admire Jim and Chrissy are currently. How could they doubt their allegiance? How could they have been so blind, tricked into thinking this was a genuine romance when, in fact, it was only a game for Chrissy? The criticism has come quickly, and Jim's following is beginning to grow. He's had his reputation damaged, and the world is now asking the difficult queries about Jim's true employer. After all these years, the family of Camron has even gone so far as to release recordings that show some of the most startling discoveries regarding. These leaked tapes reveal Chrissy's double life are superior to anyone's envisioned. Chrissy speaks on tape about attempting to manipulate Jim's image in order to ruin his career by linking him with dubious individuals who were trying to eliminate him initially. With these tapes are quite explosive, and they have only increased the public's outrage. Let's avoid discussing the roaring social media firestorm. At the moment, everyone from hip-hop artists to influencers on social media are contributing, expressing their thoughts on the Chrissy and Jim Jones are situation bashful. Lampkin is moving in the wrong direction. Reasons why fans are going crazy. One tweet says, "You've been played, Jim, and we all anticipated it." Another says, "Chrissy has been absolutely Jim, who is deceptive, deserves better." But every one of these folks has a darker side. Are now wondering how much of the foundation of Jim's career was it all Chrissy's lies? Did she have an impact on the development of, was she holding Jim back, or was he successful back the entire time? The conjecture is limitless, and the truth is revealed with every fresh disclosure. Grows more financial upheaval and a convoluted legal lawsuit, and public indignation are simply that at the start of this debacle. There's no estimating the potential reach of this, but one. There is no doubt that Jim Jones is currently he's at a crossroads, not just a betrayal of his emotions, but a total. His empire's demise, now that we've revealed the full scope of Chrissy Lynn's treachery, the question still stands. Occurs next as the narrative progresses to Jim Jones must deal with the harsh actuality of losing not just his own relationship, but also his empire, repute, and possibly even his liberty. The entire scope of Chrissy's distortions are starting to become obvious, and what once appeared to be a romance from a fairy tale has now become a nightmare in which no one anticipated the public backlash would be sweeping across the media and like wildfire. The circus that Jim and Chrissy are in is growing more intense every day. Out is definitely incredible docs that were released and private recordings have come to light, demonstrating that Chrissy's participation in Jim's financial situation wasn't a coincidence. This action was intentional. It was a carefully considered plot that was created to destroy Jim's career and seize his wealth. But what did Chrissy do? Let's break it since we have to gain down. Based on those close to the circumstance, Chrissy wasn't only there for she was playing a lengthy game with the money. She was aware that Jim's standing was improving, and she desired to confirm that she had a strong hold on his. In the future, she planned several investments, commercial endeavors, and each one was intended to drain a portion of Jim's fortune while retaining him. The final game she desired to be in the dark. Jim isn't in charge, but here's turning point as more of Chrissy's dubious. When transactions are revealed, it appears that she was not merely scheming to harm Jim. She was working covertly with others. Jim had trusted those who were taking advantage of him for personal benefit. One of the biggest surprising disclosures to the public. There was a recent admission from him. According to an unnamed source, Chrissy had maintained continuous communication with Jim's name is being used by rivals to create backroom transactions that finally caused him harm. It's far more than just a betrayal of personal trust. Becoming increasingly well-coordinated attempt to permanently destroy Jim Jones, while the legal pressure continues to grow. The general public is anticipating the fallout. Both sides' legal teams are getting ready for an unavoidable legal dispute, and it appears that this might be the battle of the proof against Jim's life is incriminating, and the charges will only intensify if Chrissy is convicted of financial crimes. Jim may be subject to severe manipulation penalties, including potential criminal charges. Not only does that ruin a career, but it's such a controversy that has the potential to ruin lives. Not to be overlooked is the media storm. The news stories are everywhere. Location, and everyone is watching for each turn and turn to Sir Chrissy Lumpkin, Jim Jones, and Chrissy's exposure by Camron is popular worldwide, with both admirers and detractors taking sides. Some are demonstrating support Jim's cry for justice, while others are asking how they can tear into him. Someone with the authority and clout of Jim was so susceptible to deception, but the inquiries are not limited to Jim. They're now talking about Chrissy. What is she? The following step is the comprehension key. The specifics of Chrissy's behavior, and it's becoming increasingly obvious that her motives were much more intricate than anyone discovered. That several sources had arrived forward, which showed that Chrissy wasn't solely engaged in financial schemes, but was also connected to a number of dubious individuals from the shadows. And this is the kicker: Jim was unaware of his identity. Genuinely in agreement with Chrissy, was meticulously maintaining his reputation while covertly creating addresses those who were abusing him as a piece of a much bigger game. Jim's formerly secure empire is now on the verge of catastrophe. According to industry insiders, the damage could be irreversible, from a financial poor management to potential legal consequences. Jim's future course is full of doubt. However, the greatest catastrophe of all is that Chrissy was trusted by Jim Jones with his future, his company, and his heart, and she was the worst at betraying him. Potentially, as the strain increases, his mental health has suffered, and he's been spent days in hiding and meeting with his legal group and attempting to puzzle out what's remaining in his career. But regardless of how, he makes a lot of effort to patch the fractures. are too profound, and the harm is too great. Jim is a fighter at heart, yet even the most formidable combatants have times when they question whether they can prevail in the conflict. Is Jim Jones as we know him coming to an end? Regarding Chrissy, she has been keeping quiet. She is attempting to keep her, according to sources, distance, but it will only take time. Before the reality of what she did is revealed, her reputation is in ruins because of this. And despite her best efforts to spin, the public is aware of the story that has been completed. The walls are enclosing her, and it is getting impossible to conceal the truth. However, is she concerned or does she care? Regarding the harm she has caused, only time will inform. The family of Camron, who has been crucial in revealing Chrissy's transgressions, are now demanding a complete, exact disclosures to come to light, and who knows what Jim Jones's future holds and Chrissy. The story isn't finished, Ken. However, one thing is certain. One for the history books is the saga. Will Jim be able to rise from the ashes? Chrissy's deceptive and manipulative network eliminate him permanently? Wow, this has been a roller coaster with twists. The twists in this narrative are definitely crazy, but this is the true query. What will happen to Jim next? Jones is capable of picking up the fragments of his professional life, or will Chrissy? Lannon's network of deceit and treachery brings. The truth has come out, and he is permanently down. However, what lies ahead is anything but sure, but we'd like to know do you believe Jim has what it takes, is necessary to overcome the chaos, or is this Chrissy's reign is coming to an end? Culpable, or is she being set up in a larger plot? Please leave a comment below, and let's begin the discussion. Whose viewpoints are you on, Chrissy's or Jim's? The more we ask more questions as you read this article. Don't just sit there and hit because we're uncovering that comment area and provide us with your handle the entire mess. And hey, if you make sure you've hit that already, click subscribe and press the bell to don't miss out on the most recent updates. We've received even more shocking disclosures approaching you, and I promise you'll want to watch this video and be the first to know. If you're looking for more drama behind the scenes, and tell your friends about it so everyone is able to participate in the discussion. We've only touched the surface of this astounding scandal, and you don't want to lose any time. What will happen to Jim, Chrissy, and the whole family will be monitored. Every curveball, and we'll be delivering the truth to you in any way startling it might be. Subscribe and stay tuned, and ensure that you participate in this thrilling adventure that you won't regret. This is only the start, so let's continue. The approaching truth.